Okay, wir haben heute Robert Caldwell bei uns zu Besuch in Berlin und er wird uns jetzt gleich mal zeigen, wie er eine Zigarre anzündet, anschneidet, anzündet und dann raucht, ob da irgendwas Besonderes dabei ist. Jeder hat so seine Vorlieben und das werden wir jetzt bei Robert gleich mal ausprobieren. So Robert, it's time to show us how you cut a cigar, how you light it, and how you smoke it, of course.
Perfect. So thank you for having me, by the way. My pleasure to be here. So the funny thing with most cigar manufacturers is none of us use cutters. I don't know if you've noticed that. So on the end of the cigar, we luckily have a pigtail, but on the end of the cigar is going to be a cap. And most cigar manufacturers, for whatever reason, I think it's because we travel a lot and we're used to not using cutters. The other thing is when a cigar is wet in the factory, if you use a cutter, you can't cut through the cigar. So what will happen is it pulls the tobacco. So most of us just use our nails and kind of dig your nail into the foot of the cigar and pull off the tobacco. And then it's going to look like this when you're finished. And that's usually how we cut them. So it's a very weird thing. But I remember the first time I did it, I was in Honduras, in a cigar factory. And I went to cut a cigar maybe 7 years ago. And it just pulled the cap from the cigar. It was fresh from the table. And then I did the next one and it just pulled the cap. And from then on, I started picking the tobacco. And then I kind of noticed that it's something within the industry that manufacturers do. And then from that point on, I've never used a cigar cutter, with the exception of a pyramid or torpedo, something like this, a shaped cigar, which you need to use a cutter to cut through. But more often than not, just picking the end of the cigar. And now if I cut it with a straight cutter or any type of cutter, it feels weird to my mouth. So I like to remove the cap just like that. And then the other thing too is normally you would toast the foot of a cigar to kind of heat it up. We oftentimes also don't do that. That's a step that we remove if smoking while working. So when you're smoking and you're having meetings or things like this, you're kind of smoking for the ritual of smoking outside of actually sitting down to enjoy it. So unfortunately, normally we just light the cigar and you're not paying attention to what you're doing. But if we're smoking for enjoyment, typically what I'll do, and I actually use the fantastic Clipper Spanish throwaway lighter. Also, that's something because of airport security, you lose a lot of nice lighters. But typically you would toast the foot of the cigar slightly, which I'm sure many people know. And you can see as you do that, you're going to just kind of heat it a little bit without putting direct flame. And this is going to do two things. First, it's going to dry out the tobacco slightly. In addition to that, it's going to warm it up. And the purpose for doing this is you need to apply less direct flame. So a lot of people, when they're going to light their cigar, they put it in their mouth and they light it right away. And what this will do is it'll cause you to have to put the flame more directly to the tobacco. If you toast it a little bit first, you can actually get the cigar ignited without applying direct flame, just keeping the flame off. The temperature itself will be enough to ignite the cigar. And usually that's not enough. Sometimes people go like this to apply air. But again, this is a very time-consuming thing. And then at which point you would put the cigar in your mouth and then continue puffing. So that is how I like to light my cigar. Unfortunately, the process takes a little while. So oftentimes, again, when working, just putting the cigar in your mouth and lighting it in a very unritualistic, less sophisticated type of way. And that's actually a funny thing with cigar producers. It was funny that you asked me, you mentioned to me that one of the questions was going to be how we cut and light the cigar. So that's something that we do in a non-harmonious way. We do it in a very kind of brash, to the point way. Also with cigar storage, if you go in our warehouses, everything's perfect. Perfect climate, perfect humidity, temperature. If you go to our homes or the office desktop humidor, the cigars are dried, cracked, unraveling. The cigars are always horrible. And I don't know why that. I think it's we spend so much time occupying our attention to maintaining the quality of the cigars for sale. But if it's for us, it's a hassle to maintain our home supplies. And it's funny because I have several humidors in my house, and the humidor that has my cigars is in terrible condition. The humidor that showcases my cigars, if I have a meeting at my house, it's perfect because I don't want to take out a bad cigar for someone. So.
Okay, thank you very much, Robert. Ich fasse noch ein paar Sätzen zusammen auf Deutsch. Also als Hersteller gibt er sich nicht so viel Mühe, was das Abnehmen der Kappe angeht. Er macht das einfach mit dem Finger, wie wir gesehen haben. Auch beim Anzünden einfach ein einfaches Gasfeuerzeug und schnell nebenbei angezündet. Und selbst was die Lagerung angeht, ja, die Zigarren liegen irgendwo zu Hause rum und gammeln vor sich hin. Also ja, eine andere Welt sozusagen.